How do you sort out the so-called jargon from real-world practices that work? Do the members of your organization find some business or technology advice utterly confusing? Welcome to Real Talk with Sam Holcman. In this program, we set the record straight, and in terms that business people and technology people can understand. Now, here is your host, Sam Holcman.
Welcome to this edition of Real Talk. I'm Sam Holcman. Thank you for joining me today. And a little story about today's broadcast. Over a decade ago, we were asked by a couple of universities in the United States to teach our enterprise architecture course. And we believe this was a great idea from a university standpoint to get the students involved in enterprise architecture and business architecture, as we call it, from the source. And if I can be this bold or this braggadocio, whatever you want to call it, unhumbling, we're one of the premier organizations in this area, and we're humbled and proud that people ask us to do these things. And so we readily volunteered to do this. Yes, there was exchange of funds going on, to be direct and honest. And we were teaching this course in an online basis for a couple of universities. And of course, one of the popular things out there on the internet is Wikipedia. One of its nicknames, forgive me, is Wickedpedia. I won't comment on that other than saying interesting phrase. And of course, during this course, we had exams for the attendees, the students in this particular area. And there's a lot of stuff on the internet and Wikipedia on enterprise architecture. Of course, none of it is vetted. None of it is essentially the definitive source because it's really based on popularity. And if you know anything about Google or Bing or those types of things, and some of my broadcasts, you know that we call them really popularity contest engines rather than pure search engines. It's not that I don't use these. I want to say again, we do use them, but they're not ranked on correctness. They're ranked on popularity. And so we saw early on in our teaching that a lot of the students were using Wikipedia for some of their answers on some of the quizzes that were there. And so after I think it was the third exam, we put a notice out to all of our students that we're looking for original thinking. In other words, it's a workshop. We don't have multiple guess exams, as we like to call it. They need to go out and actually do enterprise architecture on the case studies rather than regurgitating what they saw on Wikipedia. And so we told the students that we are going to, on the next quiz, purposely put a question on there. We're going to grab the answer that we know is incorrect from an enterprise architecture standpoint in there. And if you, the student, uses that answer, unfortunately, we're going to fail you. We're giving you warning. Do not use these sources. What we're asking you to do is to do thinking and analysis rather than regurgitation of things that may or may not be correct. We actually warned them in an email. We sent them notes on this. On the quiz itself, we said, please do not use these sources. We are telling you again that there's at least one question on here that is incorrect. If you use that as the answer, we will fail you in this course. Of course, you know what happened. What happened? Somebody used that source. And then, of course, the student came back, and I'll use the phrase in tears, and said, but, no, there's no but. We told you ahead of time. And they failed the course. One student one time actually went up the chain in the university to the deans complaining about this. Luckily, we were backed. Now, why am I telling you this story? I'm telling you this story because the same thing is happening right now in the use of artificial intelligence. And what's happening there is professionals are using, I'm going to quote here, ChatGTP for things that may cause them to actually lose their license to practice in some areas. So until next time, I want you to think about this as being a real critical issue. What are you using in your profession to actually work with clients or with other folks or provide information? Until next time, thanks for listening.
Thank you for tuning in to Real Talk. Be sure to join your host, Sam Holcman, again for another edition of our program. We'll have more real topics of discussion then.